17 to command.
Go ahead, Truck 17.
Primary complete.
Command copies. Primary complete.
What's up, folks, and welcome to another episode of Primary Complete. Before we kick off the show, do us a quick favor. Like and subscribe. At the end of the show, if you enjoyed it, leave a quick comment. These simple little things make our platform more visible to folks who are looking for the type of show that we produce. For all of you who are constantly interacting with us on social media, talking about the show in your firehouses and with your friends, we can't say thank you enough for helping us build this awesome community. If you haven't yet, check out the social media. Search Primary Complete Podcast on Insta, Facebook, TikTok. Give it a quick like. We also got a website. Feel free to check that out. www.primarycompletepodcast.com. Thank you all once again. Enjoy the next episode and continue to help us make conversation great again.
Have you talked to Chief Hogue, Ken Hogue, lately?
I saw him at the Chiefs Conference in Charlotte. We talked a little bit. He's excited about coming down in May, too. So,
Good. Yeah, I want to we need a house to burn. Like,
Yes, I agree.
we need to burn something. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen him in a while, and we're kind of in the same world as far as the water rescue side of things goes. You know, I see him in the mountains every now and again, or we'll meet up at the same area, Bridgewater, where we all train, and we'll co-teach classes together. Like I'll have a class up there, and he'll have a class up there, and we'll mess around. But I hadn't seen him in a hot minute. I miss that guy.
I know. We got to get him down. Just to town or in here, whatever. But
Right.
Somewhere.
Right. Well, Chief Griffen, it is good to see you again. It's been long overdue. I'd love to have you in here about every week if I had the opportunity, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a pleasure to have you back down here and having a conversation with us, as always.
Thanks for having me. And you'd get bored if I come every week. So.
I guarantee you that's not true. Guarantee it. No, what's fixing to come up? We're getting close to something.
Yeah. So First Due Operation Conference is right around the corner, May 9th, 10th, 11th. So we're excited. Sold out, which is what the goal was. We've probably been sold out technically about a month or so, but a couple people would back out, and then we worked with the Marriott to do some additional seating and change some stuff around, so it let us open up another 10, 15 seats. So, but we've now stopped it. Said we got to stop. Don't want to be like an airline and overbook, you know.
Right. You didn't take our little corner away, did you?
No. You guys have your corner always.
That's good. Who's coming?
So this year, Todd Edwards will be there. Steve Robertson. Champo will be back. Got Mo Davis and Clyde Gordon. Let's see, Jonah Smith from Charlotte. He'll be there. Eric Wheaton is coming from Winter Park. Let's see, who else we got? Like I said, I say Clyde Gordon's coming.
Yep.
Let's see. Of course, I'll be doing my part. You know, that's the luxury of putting on your own conference. You get to speak. So.
Yeah.
And then, of course, JJ Gasell be back. He's from Orlando. And then we always use the Clark boys up there, Don and them and Cody. And those guys, middle part of the state, they're going to come in and help some of the truck track. And so just got a good variety of guys coming in. We try to shift it around every year by changing a couple of instructors here and there and adding some flavor to keep it new. But this year we're doing a little more interesting concept where one of the kickbacks we've got the last couple of years is sometimes it can get very back to back where you have an engine guy and an engine guy and an engine guy, you know,
Right.
And might have a different PowerPoint, but it's kind of the same message. So we looked at it this year, and last year we did 8 instructors. This year we're only really doing 6 over the 2 days, but you'll get a engine talk, truck talk, and then a leadership talk on the first day, and then the second day will be a truck talk, an engine talk, and a leadership talk, and that way you're not getting the same concept each back to back. So that was something we wanted to try, and then something that I hadn't really pushed out yet. I've talked to a couple of the instructors about it, and everybody seems to be excited. So we purposely had it to end, not end, but 3:30. All the PowerPoint stuff was going to end. in that window. And instead of one of the other feedbacks we got was, it's like, back to back, take a lunch, back. So we're kind of slowing the pace down, and then at the end of the day, we're gonna say we're done with the lecture. You guys take a break when you come back. Day one, we're gonna do engine talk. So we're gonna have the engine instructors up there. Day two is gonna be truck talk. So it's gonna be basically they're gonna sit up front, and students can ask questions, and you'll get to pick the brains of these guys that you came to just not hear their lecture, but. And that concept came from, guys going, man, I tried to grab them at a break, or I tried to grab them at a social, and there was 10 people around them, and I really want to ask this question. So I thought, why not? I've seen it work before, and it's been very successful with that kind of open forum, that town hall type setting.
Yes, sir.
And what a great opportunity.
See what's going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah, we've actually had this discussion about that. We often some people do it like Corley. He's done it, Corley Moore, with the Scrap. They've done like live Q&A and whatnot. But we've talked about it, and we talked with Jeremy from National Fire Radio as well about it. And I was like, how cool it would be to be able to capture that setting and make it live, but not so much for the live aspect, but for the ability for people to go back and see it again. So I don't know what it would do as far as removing value from the actual time, or what, when you pay to go to a conference, you're paying for, numerous things, but one of the things is you're paying to be a student and sit in front of these guys. And if you put it on the internet, does that devalue it, or does it add value? Jeremy and Corley are both like, no, it 100% adds value.
Right.
Yeah, there's no replacing it, and all it is advertising, really. They get up there and ask specific questions, but they're based off of their presentations, and that's what what you go to get the experience with, is the presentations. So that's really cool. We're gonna be sitting in that one.
Yeah, that moment gets multiplied if you can record it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be. I hope it's going to be successful, and the main purpose behind that is, I don't care. All these instructors, and they'll agree. There is a death by PowerPoint.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, I'm giving them a short window and a short stage, and they can't stray off their top. Like, they got to get in there and get their point across, and then their part's over, and the next guy comes in. And one of the things I thought was, we did the socials to give everybody that opportunity to mingle. And I thought, what, I've sat through a couple of these. I've been a part of a couple of these open round tables, and I feel like that this was a good mix to drop two instructors off the whole venue, but add some value on the backside, because we kicked around like, what do we do? Like you hate to call it a keynote because it's an end of the day note,
right?
A post note, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's
we thought about bringing in just somebody that's not a PowerPoint person, but just not a lecture, like a motivational type thing, and then just kind of something I kicked around in my head, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna run with it, see what happens.
I think you'll be wildly impressed. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea, and I can guarantee you the students, or the participants, I don't like to call them students because they're not always students, but I guarantee the participants are going to love it as well.
Yeah, I love that you're using feedback to improve. Like, I've filled out the questionnaires, and I always wonder, like, is this just a formality and it gets tossed in the trash? So thanks on behalf of a participant. Yeah, improving.
So one thing we tried to do is, nobody likes to sit at the end of the day and feel like, most of the time you're done, you've been there all day. It's like, all right, check. So one of the things that my wife wanted to do is, she's like, let's email them and just like give them a blank checkbook. Say, let them respond to us. And we asked a few scripted questions, but we emailed the entire conference and said, please email us back so we can slow down and read it. And it's not just check boxes, or it's not at the end of the day, it's not, okay, here, what's your final comments? Like, give us, if we asked a question, you got an unlimited amount of space, and we're going to read it. And we heard a lot of feedback. Overwhelmingly, we heard a lot of repetitive topics. And then the other thing we heard was it was sometimes could get really fast paced. If one instructor goes 10 minutes over, it kicks the whole day off.
Yeah, you're right.
And then I'm going to another instructor after lunch, said, okay, shave 10 minutes off. And now their mind is trying to rush through their PowerPoint, and it's unfair to them.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I remember those guys when we were trying our best to pull them aside and all that, and they're like, we're tight on time, it's tough, or hey, I gotta go, and it's just like I'm selfish because I'm like, man, we're getting such good conversation, I don't want it to stop. It's like so I understand, and I mean I'm an instructor myself, so I mean I understand the pressure of sometimes being cramped, so that makes a lot of sense.
Well, the tough balance for me is I want to give you the most for your money. You're paying good money to come to this, or your department is, and there's a lot of guys that pay out of their pocket, guys and girls, and I'm like, I want to give you all I can give you, and sometimes we can say, I want to go to 7 o'clock tonight, and I want to throw 20 instructors at you, but that's not really conducive to learning. And so one of the things we're trying to do is how do we slow that pace down and go with quality, not quantity, but then somebody not leave and go, I really didn't get my money's worth. So that's a tough balance, and every year we're going to dance around that balance. So.
Sure. And while we're on the topic of instructors, I'll go back to the question I was asking you earlier, and I had asked you, what is there any pressure, or what is the amount of pressure that like these the speakers, the instructors, the Todd Edwardses, the Ray McCormicks, the ever growing list of these rock stars. What is the pressure of them to kind of keep the sense of what they're delivering fresh? Because I told you earlier, it was like I compared it to a comedian, and once a comedian, he has his hour of content, and he goes on stage around the country and does his tour, and he goes to all these comedy clubs or arenas or whatever, and he does this 1 hour of content, and then he does a special, or it's on the internet or YouTube or Netflix or whatever it may be. Now it's available to the entire world. He can't go back to that because nobody's going to laugh anymore. Nobody's going to pay, or they may, but just them and their craft, they're not going to do that. So what is the pressure, or is there even a pressure for instructors to kind of keep things fresh and new to where it doesn't seem repetitive?
Yeah. And that's a tough balance. And we, I actually just talking with Todd and Steve and whoever, Jonah. I see Jonah changes a lot of his stuff up. You get a program, and when you finally get it dialed in, you almost feel like, okay, I've got it dialed in, but man, I've presented this 10 times.
Right.
Now am I starting to, especially when you're getting there and people walk up and go, hey, I was in your class, or I was at your conference, and it just happened in Smithfield. I was up doing some stuff for those guys, and 3-4 people come up and was like, man, I enjoyed your conference. I can't wait to hear you speak again. And I'm like, again, this is kind of one of the a lot of the same stuff. Yeah. But I think what the challenge is, and we kind of touched on that earlier, is I think every time you teach, you see things you want to change. So you are kind of changing it. It's not like a total routine, but then you get to a point where you feel like it's the same slides everybody's seeing. So for me, I know I can't speak for the other guys, but I know sometimes I will change or morph the program to where, I thought this was going to be more a tactical class, but and I touched on leadership, but everybody loved the leadership part. So I get more deeper in leadership. And then I look up and go, now I'm getting more leadership than I'm tactics. So I changed the name of the program,
right?
Use a lot of the same slides, but then it allows me to add slides and it's tough because sometimes the videos work well, and sometimes pictures work well, but then that same picture is popping up.
Yeah, over and over and over
10
again.
different programs or venues that you were at, and you're starting to think, man, are people going to quit asking me to come teach because
right.
I've wore that topic out? So, that's always a challenge. And I think all those guys, sometimes you do get not bored, but you get hung up on one topic, and it's say like, you know what, I can't do so much of this, and now I want to venture over into this world, And another example is I kind of wanted to do something that not nobody else is doing, but something that was unique. So a year or so ago, I put together a coastal fire program.
Right. Yeah.
Done it 2 or 3 times, and I've had some departments call me and. Trying to start maybe pushing it. I hadn't done it yet, but I want to maybe throw it out at some bigger conferences that, like the Safaries or one of those. My thoughts are that's a targeted area, but everybody else is like, I even though I'm not in the coast, I'd like to hear what you guys do. and how you deal with the definitely the wind driven stuff, and then everything's on pylons and everything's multi-stories, and so that's one that I've started trying to touch down here on and see where it goes. But for me, it was like refreshing,
Right.
because now it's like a same topic but a different topic.
Yeah, like a new little charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, from the participant side, I guess it's refreshing. It's nice to know that there is thought put into keeping the learning spread out. So it's not like you said, engine. Even if it was 3 engine guys, you're still getting 3 different points of view that could be, miles apart. So yeah, I'm glad there's energy that goes into keeping it fresh and creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you who else could benefit from those coastal classes, and that's rural firefighters, like the volunteers. Dude, we've had several little fires. I live in Duplin County, and, you get a pretty substantial farmer. He's got a nice house, but then it's surrounded by nothing. There's no trees. It's fields. So, the wind blows all the time at my house, all the time, more than it does at the beach sometimes.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of benefits and a lot of crossover. That's I don't know that that's ever even been talked about as far as from a rural approach as well.
Yeah,
Wind-driven fires. They probably, I'm not gonna say they probably don't, but I've never heard wind-driven anything mentioned in the rural space.
Right.
So,
And
a lot of crossover there.
the problem is it is a catchphrase that's got thrown around a lot.
Right.
We used to never even think about wind. I guess it was in our mind. We just didn't. But and then flow path stuff came out, and it opened a lot of eyes. And we throw that phrase out a lot: wind driven. Everybody, no matter where you live, you're in the mountains, it's windy all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think we're starting to learn more in the fire service of, we just don't always kick the front door in, and we don't always just bust windows out. There is a method to this madness, and just understanding what you're doing to the fire and to the people in the building when you make wrong decisions on how to open buildings up, and even where you take that first line through. So that's something that, whether you call it coastal or whatever, it's definitely something that, from rural to mountains to the beach to wherever it's definitely a concept that we gotta I guess get a lot better at, because I think there's been times we've opened front doors and a window's failed on the back of the house, and we go back and joke about how it hung us up on the porch for 5 minutes and ate our lunch, and now you look back and go, I know exactly why I did that. I didn't even wish I'd have known that 20 years ago.
Right, right.
Sometimes we just get stubborn and we're like, I had to push a little harder today. But, sometimes we might ought to think if we just took a 30-second different approach, the whole attack would have been different,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's fresh, man. I like the idea of, just like Steve said, I like the idea of the instructors and the folks bringing the presentations, trying to constantly evolve them. It's just like Steve said. It's very refreshing. I've said refreshing, I think, 25 times now.
Yeah, that's all right.
For sure.
When are we going to do this drawing?
Let's save it. I've got a question
Okay.
I want to ask
right.
Chief, and like I said, we can always go back and fix this or cut it out if we want to later. But what is your opinion on the PFAS stuff going around? Have you heard much about it? I feel like you have.
I've heard it.
Sure.
I don't know that I got an opinion.
Okay.
I'd like, it's one of those I don't know.
Still collecting data.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to venture down that road or not. But.
Yeah. We almost dedicate. Well, we have dedicated an entire show to it, and then we bring it up every now and again. And I have such a wild love-hate relationship for even the idea. I don't want to see people get hurt, but damn it, I want to put my turnout gear on.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm a fireman, so
Yeah.
it's a lot of mixed feelings running around, man.
There is.
You have both ends of the spectrum. People are like, "Oh God, never put your turnout gear on again," and then ones that are like,
Damage is done.
damage is done. That ship has sailed. It's gonna be what it's gonna be.
I've got a lot more guarded on some stuff. This is my 30th year, and sometimes all right, you being an old grouchy,
Right.
Don't want to change nothing guy, or then I look back and go, well, what's worked has worked. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll probably leave that alone.
That's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's why I wanted to ask your opinion. Sometimes no opinion is the
Cut that
best
out.
opinion.
Cut that
Sometimes no opinion is the best opinion.
Yeah.
So
Verdict's out. Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited that they're still collecting data. So we'll figure it out, I guess.
Yeah. When Dave Hibben was here, we ended up talking about when to address a mistake made on a fireground. And I was of the opinion, still am really, that as soon as possible. So even if we're still on the fireground or when we get back and the hoses are loaded, everything's cleaned up, and we're back in service, then have the conversation. And I was going to ask you, a mistake's made, not malicious, like nobody's out here doing it on purpose, but you've made a mistake on a fireground. When do you want your guys, or when did you address it? Like, how does that look for you?
Yeah, it's not a tough question. It's I don't think there's a right answer, because I think there's some things you address immediately, especially if you need to correct it to finish out the fire. There's some things you grab the guys on the tailboard and deal with while you're there. I'm guarded on that because sometimes there's perception, especially in today's world where everybody's got video cameras and going live streaming and everything else. The perception everybody will have is either that guy's just ripping his guys a new one, or they really screwed up. And so sometimes the tailboard may not be the right place either. But there are times while you stand there, because you might want to point certain things out, because that visual is what you need to say, this is why I would have wished we'd have done this. And whether I screwed it up or they screwed it up, it's kind of like an opportunity. And sometimes you want to hear why. Why did you guys choose to go? And then you realize, before I get too deep in this, that my opinion was wrong. Like, they were right. My concept was wrong, because after they explained to me what they saw, it made a world of difference. So I think that the deep dive should always come in at the station, but it don't need to be drug out, extended.
Right.
You shouldn't let a month go by and you hadn't deep dove into a call, but that deep dive needs to happen pretty quick at the station. And I think the tailboard stuff is more Q&A, like, well, what made you guys go there? What made you go in the front door versus the rear? Why didn't you grab the hydrant versus coming in, dry? So all those are, things that aren't wrong. It's just maybe from my end, especially if I come in and they're already set up, it might be just some questions. So later on, we can really deep dive into, okay, it didn't bite us, but it could have bit us. Or
Right.
It did bite us, but nobody got hurt. So
Right.
all those are different levels of
Yeah.
how you fix problems. So.
Yeah. Those questions in some settings could be offensive, and like they could hit, and you're like, damn, he's hitting me hard. But knowing you, if I was on the south side and we ran a fire and you came by and asked me a couple of those, like, why didn't you do this, or how'd you come to that decision, I would see it as we're either about to improve through let's don't do that again, or maybe it was something you liked.
Yeah.
Like, you made a decision I wouldn't have, but it worked out. How did you
Right.
come to that decision? So, if you're listening, don't just assume that somebody's asking you a question. That means they disagree with what you did.
Yeah.
If it's in a mission-driven light, it might be a good thing, but address it either way.
I think I'm as a boss, I'm more I'm not a guy that's reactionary. Like, even when I see something that I really don't like at the station, I very rarely overreact. I feel like I don't to the situation. I typically like to analyze it. Sometimes I choose to leave it alone because I'm like, there's different reasons. But on the fire ground, what I've found is if you're overreactionary, emotions are already high, adrenaline's high, everything's high, and when you try to deal with that problem on the fire ground, it usually ends up in a blow up. And now it may be out of respect, they don't blow up at you, but they walk away very, very unsatisfied, and that to me is not the best tactic for a leader. And so what I try to do is ask questions to formulate, in my mind, am I right or they right, or am I wrong and they're right, or they wrong and I'm right? Like, it's all over the board. And then deep dive back at the station, and then if there's a corrective behavior that you need to correct, you correct it. And like you said, but it is tough because there's times when if there's something that's going to make a difference with saving a life or a fireman getting hurt, you definitely are reactionary to it. And I know in the heat of the battle, I'm a lot more reactionary to pushing, saying things and pushing, which you have to be. And I'm going to, correct things very quickly to get objective accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
But after the fire, to be standing in the front yard in front of property owners and neighbors and whoever else, mutual aid companies, automatic aid companies, to rip into your staff. And, years ago I had bosses like that, and there was very well captains I've watched just rip guys apart at the back of an engine. And I walk by thinking, man, this is just not the place. Like,
Yeah.
it looks bad, and I just go on by. But, just ripping them a new one, and that's not always the best. I mean, it works. It's a leadership style that works because you get the message clearly. Sure. But I don't know of many people that look back and say that was the best boss I ever had either.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah. There's, I'd say mistakes on the fire ground. Not all mistakes are you're going to get your ass chewed. Sometimes it's just a which way did you search first and why, and wind decisions. Like there's things that you could have done it better. So I qualify that as if I could have done it better, then that's a mistake. I didn't do it the best way possible. So there are varying degrees of mistake. I feel like now that hearing your answer, I just want to make sure I wasn't calling every fireground mistake like a,
like you needed to be yelled at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's things, I look at my performance and I'm like, I could have done this better, but that doesn't mean what I did was wrong.
Right.
But if I can improve, I'm going to attempt it.
All right.
In the class I do, the mission-driven leadership, I have a slide on misdemeanor versus felony, right? So not every mistake's a felony, and not every mistake deserves the full trial and the jury and the hanger, the shooting squad or whatever. So as a leader, you got to decide what's a misdemeanor and what's a felony, and that's a good way to describe it because some things are just a discussion, some things are a slap on the wrist, and some things require a full-blown judge, jury, and hope your peers agree with the judge, type thing. So that's a tough stance for a leader because sometimes it's easy to go straight to being the judge, jury, the bailiff to everybody, and like I'm the chief, and I'm this is a felony, so that sometimes guys can make a little misdemeanor. It's okay, just you don't have to go full blown on them.
Yeah. If you're never making any mistakes, then you're not trying. I'm not saying let's go making mistakes, but if you're pushing and trying to get better, it's because you see that things aren't always perfect. Yeah. What you got, Hoffman? Any more questions?
No. You want to draw?
I'm itching, son. I want to know. How do you want to do it?
I guess shake up our little extinguisher there.
All right, I got it.
And then we'll let Chief Griffen draw a name, and then we'll read it, and then we'll shake it up again, and he can draw another name.
Yeah, and I do have one wild card in here, so if anybody, if we just get lucky. Oh, can you reach in there? I could pour one out if you need to.
I think I got one. There it is. You want me to open it?
Just open it
Yeah,
up.
you open it, and then I'll read it. Or maybe Steve will read it because he wrote them off.
Yeah.
He wrote them off the internet down. So
Yeah, somebody wrote this one upside down.
My fault. I made a mistake.
I had that too. Oh,
there you
there
go. Yeah, you're good.
All right, man, Nick Aliato?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's why I handed it to you.
Yeah,
That's fine.
it sounds Italian, so no offense, Nick. Yeah, I'm Italian
Sorry we
too.
butchered your name.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, all right, congratulations, Nick.
Yep. Okay.
Uh,
Cap on, and let's do it again.
all right, let's do legit. We don't want any chance for mistake
No
here.
mischief.
Yeah. All right.
All righty, let's see here.
Da-da-da.
You want to read it? I can read
Sure.
that one.
Oh,
I'll let
okay.
you-
All right, and one Tanner Freeman.
All right.
Yeah, that
Sweet.
one was easy.
Okay. Good deal. Yep. So I will contact them and make sure that those dates jive, I guess you could say. And then I will get their contact information to you, and then you can email them the voucher. And all they'll have left to do is their hotel if they're from out of Tanner's local, so he won't have to stay out of town. But the other fella, I'm not sure about. So they'll need to get a hotel, correct?
Yeah.
And then that should be it. Show up ready to learn.
And a couple of things with both of those, it's transferable to if they want to gift it to somebody. And
Okay.
if this year don't work, I will do it. I'll move it to next year.
Shh, don't say that. We're gonna do it again next year.
Well, we'll do it.
I'm just kidding.
I'm trying to make it flexible for the guys.
Sure.
Make
Yeah,
sure-
I was going to say let's draw another name in case one of those can't go. But if you can transfer it, then
Yeah,
then
that'd be
by
easy.
all means.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Sweetness. That'd
Nice.
be cool.
Chief, thanks for doing that.
Yeah,
That's,
no.
that's real cool.
Yep.
No, like it's falls right in line with the mission we were trying to accomplish with the conference. So we set aside so many a year that we want to give away, and it's just and the early bird. You know, we do the early bird for one reason. That's the people that's paying out of their pocket.
Right.
So it's not a marketing scheme. It's not It's just I want to give because we get a lot of guys and girls pay out of their own pockets. So we try to open up a short early bird and let the people that are their department's not sponsoring them, and then there's the people that wouldn't even get to come unless they won one,
Right.
and then the departments that can afford it, then you make up the difference. So.
Perfect. Yeah, we're grateful for the opportunity to be able to share your conference with those folks. It's one of a kind. I don't know if you saw any of my social or any of the social media posts from Primary Complete, but I believe it. It is the best conference, definitely in this state, hands down.
Well, thank you.
So, yeah, I'm a big believer. I love it.
Yeah.
I'll be there for sure.
Yeah.
Sitting in my little corner.
I'm
That's
sure
right.
I'll be there.
I know you'll be there.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well,
Chief, thanks for coming.
Thank you guys so much.
absolutely.
Yep.
Have a good, safe trip back to the beach, sir.
Yeah.
That's right.
We'll do it again soon, and if not, we'll see you next few months for sure.
Yes, sir. Thank
All
you.
right.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
I am excited for that Q&A. We've done
Yeah.
some serious conversations. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Do us a favor, slide over to iTunes or Spotify or YouTube. Leave a 5-star review and leave a comment. If you want to support further, share it with somebody. Ask them to like, subscribe, and share it with their friends. If they can benefit from it, we need to spread it out. The more you like and comment, the more visible we are on all these platforms when people are just searching Firefighter Podcast. It'll come up Primary Complete a little bit quicker, and they won't have to dig quite so far to find us. We really appreciate that. Visit the website. It's a pretty good site. It's got all kinds of fun links and stuff. You can also find the shows there on the website as well, and that's www.primarycompletepodcast.com. Thank you all so much for your support. Again, we love you. Thank you for helping us make conversation great again.